Season 4 has no doubt been a heck of a season. Highs and lows, laughter, tears, and I mean a lot of them tears, my goodness. And it's been emotionally turbulent, that's for sure. But do you want to know what makes every captivating scene so endearing? You guessed it, the moon, sunset, and the rain. It's funny because nearly a year ago I made my first symbolism video and you guys really loved it. And now we're back full circle with another symbolism video brought to you by the one and only, your girl, the Cartoon Hotspot, where we'll be analysing the deeper meaning behind the moon, sunset, and rain in Season 4. If you're new to my channel, welcome. And for returning subscribers, welcome back. Be sure to give this a like and turn on that bell button for post notifications. But before that, this video is sponsored by Harriyanna Hook. Remember, she's the captain, we are not her first mate. Harriyanna Hook, as you know, is an amazing YouTuber with amazing content. And if you guys aren't aware, she also has an online store with tons of amazing merchandise, which you should definitely check out. I have the Pigella and Zoe Lee hoodie designed and personalized by your very own Harriyanna Hook. So yeah, she's also very talented, like, what can't this girl do? I also have the lip glosses, which are cruelty-free and vegan, a satin durag, and a bonnet for my black queens out there. Did you think that was it? Nope, there's more. I also have my very own fox pendant because I'm the real life Alia Cesare. Stay connected.
And stay connected.
I've got the Bugaboo sleeping mask, and if you've already seen in my previous video, I was wearing the Bugaboo hoodie with the matching necklace. So you're in for a treat. Again, there are tons of stuff you can treat yourself to and it will totally be your money's worth, such as this cute bag, stickers, and nail polish that are also available on the website. So use my code HOTSPOT30, made for you, my wonderful and beautiful subscribers, to purchase your products from HarriyannaHook.com. Without further ado, let's begin. We'll start with the moon, and a little heads up, if you haven't seen my previous video on the symbolism of the moon, I strongly suggest checking that out, but of course I will recap. The scenes of discussion are from Glaciator 2 and Kuro Neko. Glaciator 2 is one of my favorite episodes of the entire series, and I think it was very much needed. It served a lot of character development, and not a lot of people picked up on that because majority were fixated on a specific unimportant scene. Never mind, nope, let's not go there. The scene we're going to analyze is Marinette's confession.
That was a good start. What's wrong?
What's wrong is that this is not really me.
I don't think it's a coincidence that this confession took place with the presence of the moon. The moon symbolizes hidden feelings and emotions, particularly between two people who are in love but are not quite aware of it. The moon is believed to offer the ability to reveal these emotions from the subconscious mind. Let's break down Marinette's confession. When Cat Noir asks her what's wrong after pausing, she responds that the confession she had practiced wasn't really her. This is important because it's Marinette realizing those words don't belong to her. I mean, come on. We know Marinette can be dramatic, but 3 suns in my heart that shine so brightly? Who says that? The moon allowed her to admit that sometimes she isn't honest about her feelings, but most importantly, she's not honest with herself. And it's significant because this scene comes after the movie scene, where she admits why she always comes up with ridiculous plans to confess her feelings, even when she knows most of those plans won't work. It's her way of protecting herself from being rejected. And so in the fantasy reality she's perpetuated in her mind, it's like she herself has ended up believing she needs to go above and beyond, when really all she needs to do is be honest. Then she says,
The first time I saw you, I misjudged you. I thought you were conceited and superficial. But then I got to know you. I saw who you really were deep down. Someone sweet, sincere, and generous.
This scene summarizes why Marinette fell in love with Adrien and debunks the whole she's in love with that idea of him argument. Because that's exactly what happened. She saw him as this rich, spoiled boy, friends with Chloe, when really he's the opposite of that. But we knew that already. The catch is, this confession isn't only just about Adrien, it's also about Cat Noir. She just doesn't know it. Because at first, she thought Cat Noir was really flirty, unserious, and goofy. But when she really got to know him, she found out he had a sensitive side that she's grown to love about him. From another aspect, this scene is critical not just for Marinette and her subconscious feelings for Cat Noir, but it proves that Adrien and Cat Noir are one and the same. Adrien and Marinette have kind of forced themselves to believe that Cat Noir and Adrien are different people. They went on with the narrative and stuck with it. On the outside, yeah, they're completely different and it's easy to treat them as two people. But at the core, the center, you'll find one cannot exist without the other. Marinette misjudged Adrien, but she also misjudged Cat Noir, meaning they are very similar in ways Marinette and Adrien are not aware of. Also, nobody can convince me that Cat Noir didn't fall in love with Marinette here. He definitely did. What if he realized there's more to Marinette than what she projects to Adrien? As Adrien, he's never really seen Marinette get so heartfelt. She says it herself in her confession. Every time she tries to tell him how she feels, her brain freezes, and that's when she begins stuttering and saying some really random things. He's seen a different side to her and couldn't help falling in love with it. Next, we're analysing the moon scene from Kuro Neko. After Ladybug breaks down and beats herself up for not being able to realise how Cat Noir was feeling, Catwalker, who is Adrien, says,
Maybe the boy who was Cat Noir was more sensitive than it seemed. But his feelings for you shouldn't force you to pay more attention to him than to others. You take care of everybody equally, Ladybug. Now I want to take care of you.
This is him admitting that on the outside he may put on a smile and pretend everything is okay, but on the inside he's hurting and he's way more sensitive than he lets on. He doesn't like showing his sensitive side. I mean, nobody wants to be vulnerable. Catwalker is admitting that his mistake was not communicating with Ladybug. Perhaps if he communicated his feelings of being left out to her, he'd be able to see that she means no ill intent. Instead, the moon grants him the ability to see that Ladybug has too much on her plate. She doesn't mean to leave him out. She's the guardian tasked with the responsibility of protecting Paris and leading a team of superheroes. It's not so much that Catwalker was realizing he's selfish, but rather he realized there's always more to the story than what's presented. He's been so fixated on the fact that Ladybug has been leaving him out that he didn't stop to think she probably doesn't want to, but it just comes part of the job. So he promises to look after her, just like she always looks after everybody. And the moon makes an appearance in which we see Ladybug blush. I don't really think she fell in love with Catwalker. It's like Catwalker read her mind and told her everything she's feeling. Remember, Adrien is very empathetic, thus he's extremely good at putting himself in other people's shoes. He's so in tune with emotions. You don't really have to say much to him and he'd already know exactly what you're thinking. Ladybug hadn't really been communicating her feelings, but Catwalker realizes that he's not the only one who's felt alone. Ladybug has also been feeling alone with carrying the burden of being the guardian. He's able to realize they've both been alone but for different reasons. Again, yin and yang. They both have a fear of being alone, but miscommunication is what caused them to be in the situation in the first place. And so when he says he'll look after her, I think it has a deeper meaning. I think he means he'll listen even when words aren't spoken. They say silence is the loudest cry for help. Ladybug blushed because this moment was one of her most vulnerable, but Catwalker doesn't judge her or see her any different. In fact, he sees her as strong-willed. She doesn't know Catwalker is Adrien, who is Cat Noir, so in her head she thinks, this is a complete and utter stranger and already he's shown so much compassion towards me. So no, I don't think she fell for him on a romantic level, just more so appreciated the fact a stranger was looking out for her. We've spoken about the moon, so let's analyze its complementary force of nature, the sun, specifically the sunset scene at the end of Hacksun, one of my favorite scenes of season 4. Sunsets typically symbolize passion and positivity, and in the case of Miraculous, they symbolize feelings the characters are aware they have. So recap, the moon equals hidden emotions, the sun equals emotions the characters know they are feeling. Sunsets can also represent change and the coming of darkness. Here in this scene, Cat Noir expresses his fear over losing Ladybug because of the identity barrier. As we know in Hacksun, Marinette had to leave Paris and so entrusted Alia, her best friend, with the Ladybug earrings without telling Cat Noir. But that wasn't what he was upset about. His biggest fear is never seeing Ladybug ever again, worst case scenario, as they do not know each other's identities. He's always had this fear, but only now was he able to come out and say it due to the presence of the sunset, which is believed to grant that ability. But there's another way we can look at this. Hacksun was the first Ladynoir sunset scene, and since sunsets symbolize change, I'd say this scene encapsulates that Ladynoir's dynamic is changing. To be honest, it changed since Gang of Secrets, but Hacksun's sunset scene was just a confirmation. And yes, they've worked through their problems as seen in Kuro Neko and Strikeback, but their dynamic will probably never go back to what it was. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means change. It means they're growing. Partners go through change that either strengthens their relationship or completely ruins it. I think it's safe to say Ladynoir is far from broken, so don't worry guys. They had to encounter this problem to establish where they both stand with each other. Without this sunset scene, Cat Noir would have never been able to talk about his fears over losing Ladybug. Cat Noir needed that reassurance that no matter how many secrets Ladybug keeps, and no matter how distant she seems, she would never abandon him. This sunset scene is a direct parallel to Strikeback. Notice how Ladybug says she'll never abandon him, and in Strikeback, Cat Noir does the same thing by saying,
"You haven't lost me."
Sunset aside, let's talk about the rain scene, starting off with Ephemeral. I have my thoughts on Ephemeral, that's for sure, but whatever grievances I do have with the episode, there's no doubt that Ephemeral is 100% a good character-driven episode, but as for plot, yeah, it's not so strong. To recap, rain and thunder most commonly symbolize sadness, despair, and a warning of dark times approaching, but can also represent cleansing, rebirth, passion, and the uncovering of the truth. Keep that in mind. In Ephemeral, Adrien and Marinette discover each other's identities, with Adrien revealing his first. Marinette initially went through whiplash, whereby she was conflicted about her feelings and how well she really knows Adrien, considering him and Cat Noir are completely different in personality. After having a talk with Luca, Marinette eventually gets over the shock and pieces together all the reasons why she loves Adrien with all the reasons why she loves Cat Noir, and realizes they're not very different because she loves Adrien and Cat Noir for the exact same reasons. She just needed time to realize that, and that's okay. Of course, what better way to show this than with an umbrella scene that mirrors the Origins episode. As Cat Noir hands over the umbrella to Ladybug, we hear a clap of thunder, which means her feelings for him have been born. There's also lightning, which represents how she now sees Adrien and Cat Noir as the same person. That's the uncovering of the truth. However, it's deeper than that. Remember I mentioned rain represents the coming of dark times, and well, we all know how Ephemeral ended. Ephemeral wasn't the right time for a reveal, and that's why everything went wrong. Nobody really knows why, and I think we're going to find out why both Ephemeral and Cat Blanc wasn't the right time when the actual reveal happens. But I'm guessing it has something to do with the fact Ladybug and Cat Noir still have a long way to go in terms of strengthening their partnership and growing individually as heroes before they're ready to defeat Hawkmoth. Ephemeral is like the calm before the storm, and they let their guard down. And you're probably wondering, what are you talking about? Well, I'll explain as we talk about the rain scene in Strikeback. As we know, Ladybug lost all of the miraculous contained within the miracle box thanks to Felix and his schemes. As she cries in the rain, Cat Noir approaches and gives her words of encouragement, just like he always does. As he gives her his hand, we hear yet another clap of thunder and see lightning. But what's the difference between here and Ephemeral? What's missing? The umbrella. An umbrella represents protection, whilst rain represents change and vulnerability. In Ephemeral, the rain symbolized dark times approaching, which is why everything went wrong, as in the literal end of the world. But in Strikeback, the worst had already happened. Ladynoir had reached their lowest as heroes. They lost all of the miraculous for crying out loud. And because they suffered a huge defeat, they no longer needed Umbrella to protect them. Maybe they never needed it in the first place. Maybe the umbrella had always been hindering them from being the strongest heroes they could possibly be. You have to hit your lowest before bouncing back, right? All they needed is each other. There's no umbrella to protect Marinette from being vulnerable. She's able to admit her mistakes in pushing Cat Noir away and trying to control everything, which ironically led to Hawkmoth using that same mistake against her and costing her big time. In the rain, there's no running away. She can't run away or avoid talking about it. She's forced to encounter her vulnerabilities, and the minute Ladybug lets go of the desire to be in control of every situation, that's when she falls in love with Cat Noir, because that desire for control is no longer blocking her feelings for him. And when I say control, I don't mean control regarding fighting supervillains and having a superhero team to back her up. The only reason why she'd been pushing Cat Noir is because she wants to avoid Cat Blanc, which was a result of their love for each other. Pushing him away is her defense mechanism. And yes, even though she has been alone and she hates being alone, she'd take that any day over risking falling for him. She's able to see that trying to figure out everything alone is why they're in this mess in the first place. And yes, the future is uncertain, but that's okay. She only needs one person in her corner and they'll figure it out together, because the job of protecting Paris isn't hers alone. It's both of their job, both their burden, and both their responsibility. For the past 3 seasons, there's been a power imbalance between Ladybug and Cat Noir. You can blame Master Fu for that. Yeah, that's right. I'm not letting you off the hook. You're getting dragged in another video. But since the rain symbolizes change, I think after Strikeback, it won't be like that anymore. We'll see Cat Noir easing off the pressure from Ladybug. We'll see a good change in their dynamic, whereby Ladybug entrusts him more. But more importantly, it's never been about Ladybug not trusting him. The problem is not trusting herself. Not a lot of people understand that and are quick to slander Marinette. So here's me defending her. Ladybug's decisions and actions this season wasn't out of spite. She's not a malicious person. Most of her decisions stem from her inability to trust herself. She trusts Cat Noir 100% and with her whole life. She just doesn't trust herself. But I have a feeling she'll learn to trust herself just as she trusts him more and continues to open her heart to him. Because we saw a blush. Marinette girl, you are not slick. We saw you caught feelings for him. So as you can see, all of the scenes I've analysed here have some part to play in progressing the reverse love square. And if you remember in my first ever Symbolism video series, I did predict there'd be a major rain scene and a couple of moon scenes, with not so many sunset scenes in season 4. So a year later, I'm making another prediction that for season 5, the reveal is going to take place in the rain under the presence of the moon. Mark my words on that and we'll see if I'm right. But what do you think? What are your thoughts on the symbolism of the moon, sunset and rain this season? How do you think they've influenced the reverse love square? Let me know down in the comments below. But as for today, that's it from me and I'll see you again next time. Bye!